October 7th, 2023. The world woke up to images that would fracture American politics in ways no one could have predicted. Within hours, two women on opposite ends of the ideological spectrum would ignite a firestorm that still burns today. Candace Owens posted first. Her words were sharp, uncompromising. "This is not a conflict. This is terrorism." The post went viral instantly, racking up millions of views within the first hour. Her audience rallied. Conservative media outlets scrambled to book her. Within 3 hours, she was on live television, her voice steady and her message unwavering. She spoke of moral clarity in a moment of chaos. She spoke of right and wrong with no gray area in between. Her followers flooded social media with Israeli flags and messages of solidarity. But across the digital divide, another storm was brewing. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's phone was exploding. Text messages from constituents, calls from activists, DMs from celebrities. Everyone wanted to know, what would she say? Her team gathered in her office, laptops open, monitoring the situation minute by minute. The pressure was suffocating. Say too much, lose the moderates. Say too little, lose the base. Say the wrong thing, and the backlash could end careers. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was silent for 3 days. Her progressive base grew restless, demanding she speak. Twitter became a battleground of speculation. Was she afraid? Was she calculating? Was she being silenced by Democratic leadership? The theories multiplied with each passing hour. Progressive activists organized protest outside her district office. "Speak up, AOC," the signs read. The pressure was crushing from all sides. When she finally did speak, her words were measured but clear. "We must acknowledge the humanity of all people." The carefully crafted statement seemed diplomatic. She spoke of international law. She spoke of civilian protection. She spoke of the need for de-escalation. But what came next would change everything. In a follow-up post, she added, "We cannot look away from suffering, no matter who is suffering." The carefully chosen words were designed to thread an impossible needle. But in 2023 America, there were no needles left to thread. There were only battle lines. The first direct clash happened on October 12th. Candace appeared on her Daily Wire show, and she didn't hold back. The camera was tight on her face. Her eyes blazed with conviction. She called out AOC by name, accusing her of standing with Hamas and betraying Jewish Americans. She didn't just criticize the statement, she dissected it word by word. She questioned AOC's motives. She questioned her courage. She questioned whether someone who refused to call out terrorism deserved to serve in Congress. The monologue lasted 14 minutes. It was devastating, calculated, and perfectly designed for maximum viral impact. The clip was edited, shared, and weaponized across conservative media within minutes. Fox News played it on loop. Newsmax brought on guests to discuss AOC's moral failure. The comment sections exploded with thousands of responses. Conservative influencers created reaction videos. Liberal influencers created counter-reactions. The algorithm loved it. The engagement numbers soared. And somewhere in the noise, the actual human suffering in the Middle East became background music to an American political performance. AOC responded the next day, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of a direct rebuttal, she posted a series of tweets documenting civilian casualties in Gaza, images of destroyed buildings, statistics on children killed, quotes from humanitarian organizations, no mention of Candace, no mention of Hamas, no mention of the personal attacks being hurled at her from every conservative platform. Just numbers, photos, and the hashtag #CeasefireNow. It was a masterclass in political judo. By refusing to engage directly, she denied Candace the satisfaction of a response. By focusing on humanitarian concerns, she positioned herself as above the partisan fray. And by using data instead of emotion, she gave her supporters ammunition to defend her in every argument happening across America's dinner tables. Her team knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't naivete, this was strategy. This was the moment the culture war became a real war of narratives. Candace saw it as evasion, as cowardice, as proof that AOC couldn't defend her position when challenged. AOC supporters saw it as humanity, as moral clarity, as refusing to play Candace's game. The middle ground evaporated. Americans were forced to choose a side. And most importantly for the algorithm, they were forced to keep talking about it. Within 48 hours, major protests erupted across American cities. Pro-Israel rallies clashed with pro-Palestinian demonstrations. In New York, thousands marched through Manhattan chanting competing slogans that drowned each other out. In Los Angeles, protest lines faced each other across police barricades, phones held high, everyone recording everyone else, looking for the perfect clip to prove their side was right and the other side was monstrous. In Chicago, college campuses became war zones of competing student groups, each accusing the other of supporting genocide. And at the center of every argument, every heated family dinner, every broken friendship, every canceled Thanksgiving plan, two names kept coming up: Candace and AOC. They had become shorthand. They had become symbols. If you agreed with Candace, you were a patriot. If you agreed with AOC, you were a humanitarian. If you tried to agree with both, you were naive. If you agreed with neither, you were apathetic. There was no escape from the binary they had created. But here's what most people don't know. Behind the scenes, both women were facing intense pressure from their own sides. Candace's comments about Israel were so aggressive that even some conservative allies began to distance themselves. Rumors swirled that Daily Wire executives were concerned. She had crossed a line, they whispered. But which line? And who decided where it was? The calls came late at night, donors expressing concern, fellow commentators suggesting she moderate her tone, media advisors warning that she was becoming too hot to handle. Candace listened to all of it, and then she kept posting, because she had learned something crucial in her career. Controversy wasn't a bug, it was the entire product. The moment she started playing it safe was the moment she became irrelevant. AOC, meanwhile, was being torn apart from within her own party. Moderate Democrats accused her of endangering the Jewish vote in swing states. Progressive activists accused her of not going far enough, of being too diplomatic, of caring more about her political future than Palestinian lives. She received death threats from the right. She received betrayal accusations from the left. She was trapped between two fires, and every statement she made seemed to fan the flames on both sides. Her staff worked overtime, trying to craft responses that would satisfy everyone. They failed every single time, because in this environment, satisfaction was impossible. Then came the congressional hearing, November 2023. University presidents were called to testify about anti-Semitism on campuses. The hearing room was packed. Cameras from every major network pointed at the witness table. AOC attended, sitting among her colleagues, her expression carefully neutral. Candace didn't just watch. She live-streamed her commentary, sitting in her home studio, dissecting every moment in real time for her hundreds of thousands of viewers. What happened next would become one of the most viral moments of the year. During the hearing, AOC questioned a university president about protecting both Jewish students and Palestinian students at the same time. "Can you tell me," she asked, "what specific steps your institution is taking to ensure that both communities feel safe on your campus?" The university president fumbled. AOC pressed, "Because it seems to me that we're creating a false choice. We can protect Jewish students from anti-Semitism and protect Palestinian students from Islamophobia at the same time, can we not?" She asked about Islamophobic incidents that had spiked since October 7th. She asked about free speech protections for students organizing protests. She asked about the definition of anti-Semitism and whether criticism of Israeli government policy automatically qualified. And she framed it all as interconnected, as part of a larger question about campus safety and intellectual freedom. Candace erupted. On her live stream, she called it a masterclass in manipulation. She accused Candace of playing victim Olympics and making terrorism a campus debate topic. The clip got 15 million views in 24 hours. Conservative media declared Candace the winner. Progressive media called her dangerous. The hearing itself became secondary to the meta-commentary war happening around it. But the real explosion came 3 weeks later. Candace posted a thread questioning U.S. aid to Israel. She didn't oppose Israel, she questioned the money. The reaction was swift and brutal. Ben Shapiro, her own Daily Wire colleague, publicly disagreed with her. Other conservative voices piled on. Suddenly, Candace wasn't just fighting the left, she was fighting her own side. AOC saw an opening. She retweeted one of Candace's posts with a simple comment, "Interesting to see who gets silenced for asking questions about foreign policy." It was a calculated move. AOC was positioning herself and Candace as unlikely allies in questioning the establishment. But it was also a trap. Candace fired back immediately. "Don't pretend we're on the same team. You stand with terrorists, I stand with questions. We are not the same." The progressive left accused Candace of unable to accept even partial agreement. The conservative right accused AOC of trying to co-opt their voices. The center accused both of them of making everything worse. And they were right. Because by December 2023, the divide wasn't just political anymore, it was personal. Families stopped talking, friendships ended. Social media became a battlefield where nuance went to die, and Candace and AOC were the generals of opposing armies neither of them had fully chosen to lead. Then came the turning point that no one saw coming. In January 2024, reports emerged that Candace was being pushed out of the Daily Wire. The official story was vague, but insiders knew it was about Israel. It was about her refusal to toe the party line. And suddenly, the woman who had spent years calling out the left for canceling people was being canceled by her own side. AOC didn't gloat, not publicly anyway, but her silence spoke volumes. Her supporters flooded social media with "told you so" posts. They framed it as poetic justice. Candace had built a career on provocation, and now it had consumed her. But Candace didn't go quietly. She launched her own platform. She doubled down on her Israel critique, and in a twist that stunned everyone, she started gaining followers from unexpected places. Progressives who disagreed with her on everything else suddenly found themselves nodding along when she questioned military aid. The political compass was spinning. Meanwhile, AOC faced her own reckoning. The 2024 Democratic primary season exposed deep fractures in the progressive movement. Her Gaza stance had energized young voters, but alienated older, more moderate Democrats. She was no longer the rising star, she was the controversial figure, and the establishment was closing ranks. By December 2023, both women were in remarkably similar positions. Both had been pushed to the margins by the very movements they had helped define, and both were more famous and more isolated than ever. And both had learned the brutal lesson. In American politics, there is no reward for complexity. The Gaza war continued, the protests continued, the arguments continued, but the narrative had shifted. It was no longer about who was right or who was wrong. It was about who could survive the longest in the spotlight without being destroyed by their own side.
Candace kept posting. AOC kept legislating. Their followers kept fighting, and America kept fracturing. Because here's the truth that neither side wants to admit. Candace Owens and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez need each other. They are the perfect enemies. Every attack makes them both more relevant. Every controversy makes them both more valuable to their respective brands. They are locked in a symbiotic war where the only real losers are the people caught in the crossfire. And the crossfire is everywhere now. It's in classrooms where teachers are afraid to discuss current events. It's in workplaces where colleagues avoid the break room. It's in family group chats that have gone silent. The Candace versus AOC war over Gaza wasn't just about foreign policy. It was about how we talk to each other, or more accurately, how we've stopped talking to each other. By summer 2024, both women had evolved their messaging. Candace leaned harder into questioning the establishment, positioning herself as the truth teller who had been punished for asking inconvenient questions. AOC leaned into legislative work, trying to prove she was more than just a Twitter presence. But the damage was done. The camps were set. The tribes were defined. What neither of them could have predicted was how their clash would reshape the political landscape for the next generation. Young conservatives who followed Candace learned that even questioning your own side could get you expelled. Young progressives who followed AOC learned that moral clarity often comes with political consequences. Both lessons were bitter. Both lessons were true. And then came the most surreal moment of all. In September 2024, a clip resurfaced from 2019, before Gaza, before COVID, before everything. It showed Candace and AOC at a bipartisan event, briefly shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. The internet lost its mind. Conspiracy theories flew. Had they always been playing characters? Was this all performance art? The answer was simpler and sadder. They were two young women who had entered politics with genuine beliefs, only to discover that the system doesn't reward genuine beliefs. It rewards conflict. It rewards outrage. It rewards the ability to mobilize your base against a clearly defined enemy. So they became enemies, not because they necessarily wanted to, but because that's what the algorithm demanded. That's what the donors demanded. That's what the media ecosystem demanded. And in the end, they both delivered. Today, the Gaza conflict has evolved. The headlines have shifted. But the Candace versus AOC divide remains. Because it was never really about Gaza. It was about the cold civil war that's been brewing in America for decades. It was about identity and belonging and who gets to decide what's acceptable to say. It was about power. And power, as both women learned, comes at a price. Candace paid with her platform at the Daily Wire. AOC paid with her status as the uncomplicated hero of the progressive movement. Both women are richer, more famous, and more influential than ever. Both women are also more alone. The final question isn't who won, because in a war like this, no one wins. The final question is, what comes next? Will there be a generation of young leaders who learn from this disaster, or will they simply repeat it with new faces and new conflicts? Right now, the answer is unclear. But one thing is certain. The ghost of October 7th still haunts American politics. And Candace Owens and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are forever linked as the two faces of that haunting. The story isn't over. The clash isn't resolved. And somewhere, right now, another post is being written. Another line is being crossed. Another clash is being prepared. Because in the end, that's what they both taught us. The conflict never really ends. It just finds new battlegrounds.